What's up, guys, and welcome to a very special video that I'm doing, how to watch the X-Men franchise from Fox in order. I've been wanting to do this video for a while, even before I started my channel, and not only that, I do like what Fox has done with X-Men. Granted, it's not the most perfect franchise, and Disney is now going to be owning X-Men now that they bought 20th Century Fox, so we'll see what they'll be doing with the franchise. So with Dark Phoenix coming out this week, it will be the end of Fox's franchise. But granted, I did like what they did with it. There is a lot of continuity errors when it comes to this franchise though, and with time travel involved, a lot of standalones, it can get very confusing and people think, how do you watch these in order? Some people watch it by the date of release, but I think that could be confusing for some people. And a lot of other YouTubers and people have posted videos about this whole timeline and how it goes in order, but I figured I'd give my little input as well, and I'm also including Deadpool 2 and the upcoming Dark Phoenix, so that's a total of 12 movies. But before I give you my rundown on how to watch them, tell me in the comments below, how would you watch these movies in order? And also tell me, what's your favorite X-Men movie out of all of them, and if you'll be seeing Dark Phoenix this week like I will be. I'll also be posting a review for that as well. And don't forget to click on that subscribe button, click on that bell notification to hear any more notifications from me for your future enjoyment. So with most franchises, when you want to watch it in order, you want to go back as far as you can. With this franchise, that would be X-Men First Class, which was released in 2011 and primarily takes place in 1962. The movie begins in the 1940s where we see Xavier and Magneto as children, but then we flash forward to the 60s and that's where the majority of this movie takes place. This movie is the origin of pretty much everything of the X-Men, of the Brotherhood, and even of the first confrontation between Xavier and Magneto and the friendship that they had made together. This is the first time we see them fight alongside each other before Magneto turns evil, before Mystique joins Magneto. And so you feel like you're on a clean slate, even though things start to get messy once we get into Days of Future Past and all the other films, because it starts rolling into a big snowball of confusion. But if you're going to start somewhere, this is the best movie to begin at. Now, next movie I like to watch is X-Men Origins Wolverine, which takes place in the 70s. Now, Days of the Future Past, for the most part, also takes place in the 70s, but that movie is all about changing time. So when it comes to time travel, I like to avoid it for as late as possible, try to get through as many movies so it's not as confusing. And I know other people will probably agree with me because time travel totally messes it up. But Origins Wolverine makes the most sense. It does begin in 1845 when we first meet James Howlett and he discovers his powers, kills his father by accident, and you see him and Sabretooth fighting the various wars through history, leading all the way to Vietnam War. That film is obviously all about him, where he's coming from. So technically, everything that happened in 1973 in Days of Future Past already happened, but without Wolverine coming in from the future in order to change it. So this is the Wolverine we know of that leads us into the original X-Men trilogy. And if you guessed I'd be watching the original X-Men trilogy next, you'd be right, starting with the X-Men movie released in 2000. Granted, this movie doesn't say when it takes place. It does say the not too distant future, but we don't know when of the 2000s that is. But it makes the most sense to me to watch right after X-Men Origins Wolverine. Soon after that, you obviously want to watch X2 and X3, completing that original trilogy. As I said before, we don't really know when these movies take place, though I'm pretty sure each film a few years have gone by. And this is the beginning of the original Phoenix Saga, which begins at the end of X2 and then continues in X3 The Last Stand, which I think they really messed up on this story. It's one of my favorite stories in all the X-Men comics, so I'm hoping Dark Phoenix will fix that. But with Days of Future happening, it does erase that event along with the original trilogy from ever happening. After that, you'll want to watch The Wolverine, released in 2013. This movie is supposed to take place a few years later after The Last Stand, where we see Wolverine mourning the death of Jean Grey still. And it also has him going on his own solo adventure in Japan. Really doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the franchise as a whole, though it does have that after credit scene where he sees Magneto and Professor X again, and they're going to explain to him about the whole Bolivar Trask issue, which of course leads us to Days of Future Past, which would be the next movie to watch. For Days of the Future Past, we're finally told when a movie's taking place, with this one being 2023. We're told that Wolverine must go back 50 years to 1973 to stop Mystique from killing Trask. And with Wolverine going back to 1973 and changing a few things, it does create an alternate timeline. And this is when people start to get confused on how to watch these movies in order. At this point, you can watch one of two movies. Either you can watch Logan, which takes place a few years after 2023 in Days of Future Past, or what I think is the next movie that should be watched, X-Men Apocalypse. With Wolverine creating this new timeline, things have changed a lot for the X-Men, and now we go 10 years later to 1983, and they now fight Apocalypse, so this is a new adventure for them, and we have new X-Men that have been recruited. Jean Grey, Cyclops, Storm, Nightcrawler, they're being recruited in different ways, so their story is being recreative. Now for Apocalypse, he's been around for thousands of years during the time of the Egyptians, so his storyline hasn't really been altered. And with this movie, you also get a glimpse of the new Wolverine going through his alternate timeline. Next after that, you'll be watching Dark Phoenix, which takes place about 10 years later. So obviously you're gonna go to the theater for that movie, and this is the movie that reintroduces Dark Phoenix again after The Last Stand. It makes the most sense for me to watch this film before the Deadpool films or Logan. And even though I haven't seen this movie yet, I am pretty sure there is no time travel involved. So we can be assured that it's not going to mess up any more than it already has been. Next, you want to watch Deadpool 1 and 2. It makes sense for me to watch these next because just like the original X-Men series, it doesn't say when it takes place, but I'm pretty sure it takes place after the whole timeline change when we're now on a different route because X-Men Origins had that awful Deadpool, so now we have the better one. And this one's taking a new path, and also in Deadpool 2, you see that little cameo of Professor X and all the other X-Men when Deadpool goes to the mansion, so it's pretty safe to assume that we're in the James McAvoy world of the X-Men. And we come to the last movie, which I think is the best conclusion of this whole franchise. People are saying that the Dark Phoenix is going to be the send-off to this franchise, but I really think it's Logan. This is probably one of the best movies in this X-Men franchise. It is one of the darkest, and it is not only about Wolverine, but I think of it as the end of the X-Men era, because what happened with the X-Men in this film, from what you're told, it seems so grim, and you just feel that, you know, what can be left of the X-Men after this. And it does end Wolverine's story. It's Hugh Jackman's last stand as Wolverine, and pretty much the last time we see Professor X, at least Patrick Stewart's version of Professor X. So I feel it's a great way to end it all. It's supposed to take place in the late 2020s. So this is the furthest you can go in time in regards to this X-Men franchise. But I think it's the best way to end all 12 movies, at least for Fox's franchise. And that was my way of watching the X-Men movies in order. I hope you enjoyed that. Tell me in the comments below if there's a different order you may have. And like I said, tell me your favorite X-Men movie. Are you looking forward to Disney creating this whole new X-Men world in the MCU? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Don't forget to like if you like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to hear more from me in reviews and movies, TV shows, and more. Hope you all have a great night. This is Ryan the Movie Guy saying I'll see you at the movies.